In the middle of the War on Terror, one of the biggest spy scandals ever to be uncovered on Capitol Hill went virtually unnoticed.
The suspected ISI agent Ghulam Nabi Fai has pleaded guilty to charges of spying for Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI.
On July 20th, 2011, Ghulam Nabi Fai was arrested in his home in Fairfax, Virginia. Andrew McCarthy is a former assistant U.S. attorney and terrorism prosecutor.
This guy was trying to influence people inside government, develop contacts with major players in government, mainly in the Congress and the political branches.
Fai was the executive director of the Kashmiri American Council, a group the New York Times reported as being largely funded by the Pakistani spy agency, the ISI. U.S. authorities at Guantanamo Bay have identified the ISI as a terrorist organization.
And it becomes a 20-year influence operation with the direction of the Pakistani intelligence service, which we have known for a number of years has elements of it that are in cahoots with jihadist groups, including Al-Qaeda, including particularly Al-Qaeda and the Taliban.
Court documents show that Fai was given nearly $1 million by the government of Pakistan to donate to political campaigns between 2000 and 2010. Public records show recipients included President Obama, Democrats Dick Durbin and Jim Moran, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, and Republican Dan Burton, who issued this statement in July 2011. I am deeply shocked by Dr. Fai's arrest. I've known Dr. Fai for 20 years, and in that time, I had no inkling of his involvement in any foreign intelligence operations and had presumed our correspondence was legitimate.
This has been going on for 20 years. It's a bipartisan issue. It involves, it took place under the Clinton administration, it took place under the Bush administration, it takes place now. There have been times when it's been better and times when it's been worse, but there's never been a time when it hasn't been going on.
Next on our panel is Dr. Ghulam Nabi Fai. He's the executive director of the Washington-based Kashmiri American Council.
Fai began working for the ISI in the mid-1980s while a student at Temple University. There he was the president of the Muslim Students Association, the MSA, an organization identified as a front group for the Muslim Brotherhood in the Holy Land Foundation trial.
What the evidence showed in the Holy Land Foundation case was that there was a Muslim Brotherhood network in America which brays that its purpose is to eliminate and destroy the West from within. I really think that once you're meeting with high-ranking officials in these organizations, it's not conceivable to me that they're not aware of what the major thrust of what the organization is trying to accomplish is.
McCarthy says government officials generally follow a narrative that says Islamist groups in the U.S. are fundamentally good and background checks are not a priority. Outreach dominates the narrative. As a former mafia prosecutor, McCarthy finds that absurd.
Let's say it's the mid-1980s, and I have this great brainstorm in my office, in the U.S. Attorney's office in Manhattan, and I walk into the boss, Rudy Giuliani, and I say, boss, I have a great idea. Why don't we just bring Carlo Gambino in here and let's work this thing out? You know, let's try to listen to them and hear them out, find out what their concerns are, engage in a little dialogue, a little Gambino outreach. I certainly, my organized crime career as a prosecutor would have been over, and probably my career as prosecutor, period.